morning. Hi. I'm trying to flip my camera today so that you can see what's on the peripherals because it looks so weird on YouTube. But the problem is, like, where do I look? The camera's kind of weird. But yeah. Dog was whining. She wanted in. Okay, so day 4. Yeah. Interesting. It was an interesting morning. Everything kind of like happened, but like out of sync. And I think it was just like tiredness and yeah, just just the run of the day, but it was interesting because I still did everything that I was supposed to do. I just kind of like adjusted it how I needed. Guys, come here. No, time out. That's my word for my dogs when they start to fight with each other actively. So speaking of my dogs, I found out something today, and that is that they hate nail clippers, and they love me a lot because as a hygiene thing today, I decided to clip my nails, and because my toenails, because they needed it, gotta happen every once in a while. And they were so concerned the whole time, like upset the whole time. They were like trying to lick my toes, and they were very worried. And they just couldn't imagine why I would choose to do that to myself. But it was really cute. Anyhow, so yeah, and today, instead of stretching, I decided to walk because I think that you can overstretch. I think I learned this. And because I've been sore from stretching, and so I thought I'll give it a rest today and see if some of that soreness, wears off. So yeah, so it was weird. It's just a weird day. Everything was just like a little bit different than what I've been doing, but it was still routine, and I still did it, and it still, took up my morning, and I think that was the important thing. Spending and focusing that time on getting, doing things that I need to do, and making them a routine part of my day. So yeah. So today I read again from Thich Nhat Hanh's book on love, and it went out of the introduction and into like the practice of it, and I think that what I realized was that there's this missing key, and it's probably like a habit actually of mine to read or like see this really intensely deep material that like gets me, and that I feel deeply, and I analyze and I even talk about it sometimes with people, but where it falls short is the practice of it, because I think that I get overwhelmed with how much there is to do. I have this knowledge now, what do I do with it? And so what I read about today was this meditation is starting with meditating on it and really feeling it around yourself, and being super quiet with that idea. And so the first meditation is love, just to take the idea of Maitri and just let it completely surround you. In the description, or in the, I don't know, the instructions, I guess, how do you put it, for the meditation, it says, when your mind is filled with love. So the first thing you have to do is fill it with love, which means you have to empty it of all the distracting thoughts that are happening around your brain. For me, that took a while. And then it says, send it in one direction, then a second, a third, and a fourth, then above, and then below. Identify with everything without hatred, resentment, anger, or enmity. This mind of love is very wide. It grows immeasurably and eventually is able to embrace the whole world. Practice the same way with your mind filled with compassion, then joy, then equanimity. I focused on love today because I meditated for like 20 minutes, and it took me a lot of time just to like not think about other things, which I think was for me like maybe the lesson of today, like maybe what I was trying to or I mean maybe what I needed to take away, I guess, from what I read. Meditation is something, that requires in itself a certain amount of, it's kind of like this fast, like it requires a certain amount of giving up your time, and just like being totally quiet with an idea, and of course that can be difficult because like, my dogs are wild and my life is crazy. But I think that not doing that, not like actually focusing, your thoughts on something, that really is like deeply affected you, is like, it's like not finishing, what you started. And so I think it's a necessary practice, which I never thought about. I've meditated on things, and like that's a practice of prayer even, and like stopping and like really like focusing and quieting yourself so that you actually can like really like deeply interact with like yourself internally, but also just like the world around you, and with God and with spiritual things. It's not something I'm like completely unfamiliar with, but it just was interesting, this to read these things, and then probably like 10 pages in, be like called to like actually like focus on it and meditate in it just immediately. And then so the practice is to, stop and empty yourself of anger and hatred more than anything, and allow yourself to go like really deeply into your own person, to like get rid of those things, to get rid of anger and hatred. And I think like on a regular basis we don't think of ourselves as like angry or hateful, like we tend to avoid that idea and kind of think of ourselves, I think we think of ourselves as really grand, because I feel like everyone's always talking about how other people don't live up to them, and so we must, think we're something. But definitely, not hateful and angry, but it is in there, and it exists in there, and I think that we avoid that part of ourselves. I know that I do. I think what I really learned today, what I think the moment that I knew I could stop meditating was when I grasped this idea that that when I leave my house, um, I'm not always ready to love people. And I've always called that my mood. You know, I'll say mentally, I'm just not in the mood, to interact with people today. Like, I'm not in the right place. And without analyzing that, without like thinking, what is that mood? What is it inside me that isn't ready to give love to another person? And obviously, I mean, just meditating on it today, it's a bunch of emotions and a bunch of things that I've tried to avoid by just completely denying their existence, which of course only feeds them, because then they can fester, because I'm not getting rid of them actively. So I think the biggest thing that I realized about these moods is that they're really, anxiety and possibly anger at times. Like what is at the core of that? And I think I still have to like figure that out. Like, and probably every time that it happens, I have to stop. I have to allow myself to stop and figure out, okay, it's not just a mood. Like, a mood is just a word that we use to describe something that is like significantly affecting us emotionally and spiritually. It's so like cavalier to just be like, well, I'm just in a bad mood. But I get it, because it's so much that sometimes we feel like, I don't have time to dive into this, so I'm just going to stay in my mood and I'm just going to like let it, I think we kind of think that we have no control over those moods because well, what is the restriction? What's keeping us, from controlling those moods? Time, I guess. Energy, or just actively being able to actually think about it. But when I was meditating today, I had to think about those things because I was focusing on love. And of course, because I was focusing on love, I thought all the things that came into my mind that keep me from being able to focus on that. And and yeah, so I think that that's a lot to chew on, and I think it's a lot for every, it's different for every person. But for me, just the idea, just the realization that there's this unopened door in me, that is keeping me, that's, filled with things I don't really want to face, but that's keeping me from being able to like really actively love people around me is like, is really significant, and something that I think I'll be addressing from now on in my routine. So meditation is being added. It's just funny because when I saw it, I was like, oh man, is this going to be like another thing I have to add? And then I did. I was like, yeah, it is. After I did it, I was like, okay, I get it. I see what's happening here. So, so day 4, my goodness. And I've been thinking about it, and I don't know, but most, when people fast, it's often 40 days. And I know I said 29, so there's this like 11-day gap. So I don't know, should it be 40? Should it be 40? This is something I'm contemplating currently. I'll let you know. But all right. Okay. Thank you. If you made it through this, I love you. And have an amazing day full of love.